my little leprechauns, and welcome to another speed build. So this build is actually, the second build I did since the new pets pack has come out. And so basically I built this, the day that pets came out. So once again, pre-recorded video, y'all, and as you know, when I do my pre-recorded videos, I don't like telling stories that are like time relevant. I like telling stories that don't have, they didn't happen last week. So I have this, I don't know what word that was. I have just been, yep, that's it. I've just been telling like random little stories. So I thought today, it's a very random story. Maybe I'll just tell the story as to why I live with my grandma. And that's just because people, when I tell them, like, in my personal life, like, people who I meet or whatever, when I'm like, oh yeah, I live with my grandma, I usually get, like, a very puzzled expression from them. Or they go like, oh my god, like, why do you live with your grandma? Like, why don't you live on your own? Why don't you live with your parents? And yeah, so I thought maybe if everybody else was asking, perhaps you guys might be wondering. So I thought, hey, why not? Let's talk about that. So, first of all, a couple of things that people have said to me when I've mentioned that I live with my grandma is like, oh, don't you get along with your parents? Stuff like that. So first of all, I get along with my parents really, really well. My family is extremely close, like probably weirdly close, if anything. Like I call my mum every single day. Every day I call my mum. Every day, I talk to my mum every single day and I see her sort of most days. So, no, it's nothing, like, it's not like a juicy gossip story. It's actually kind of tame. So, anyway, when I was 19, my husband and I obviously weren't married at this point, but my husband and I moved into my parents' house. So, I lived with my parents up until I was 21. So, my husband and I, at 19, we started, he moved into my parents' home and we, lived in our bedroom together. And we also bought an apartment, but we bought it off the plan, which means that you buy it based on the plans. You don't actually buy it, it's not built yet. So from 19 to 21, we lived with my parents and we lived there while our apartment was being built. And then just important side note, my grandma lives on the same street as my parents. So, yeah, anyway. So we lived there all happily and everything until we were 21 and our apartment was ready. So we moved out into our apartment and basically we hated it. We absolutely loved living together and we absolutely loved having our own place, but we hated the apartment. So the location wasn't very good. And, we thought it would be a really good location, but then actually living there, we really didn't like the location at all. So it was very far away from my husband's work. It was far away from my work. It took my husband, double the amount of time to get home because of the traffic. And there were no shops around, which sounds very minor, but it was if you just wanted to get a chocolate late at night, there wasn't really anywhere you could go just to get a chocolate. There wasn't really anywhere you could go just to do any of that kind of stuff. Everything was at least 15 minutes away, which to some might not seem very far away, but to us it was, because we've always grown up 2 minutes away from a shop. I didn't like how far away it was from my family, so it was a 20-minute drive to my mum and dad's house and my grandma's house. So basically went from seeing my family every single day to being 20 minutes away from them. And yeah, I don't know, I personally felt, I guess, a little bit isolated because I do shift work. So there'd be a lot of times where I'd just be on my own and I would have just loved to maybe go and walk my dog, and because my mum walks her dogs every day and I'd walk with her because I have a dog. And I just wish that, not all the time, but sometimes I just wish that I could call my mum and be like, hey mum, home alone, do you want to walk the dogs together? There were just a lot of little things like that I really missed. And I really missed As I said, we're really close, my family and I. So, like, if my mum was picking my sister up from a friend's house, I'd go with her and my grandma would go with her and we'd just, like, talk and we usually ended up getting, like, drive-through McDonald's and, I don't know, like, a weird little thing that maybe is weird to most people, but to us it was just, like, something that we did, and I couldn't do that anymore either. And then my husband didn't like the fact that he was also, like, really far away from his family, and it just, like, it made it really hard not being close to our families. And then the other thing that we really didn't like about the distance was, I go to the gym, and for me, the gym is, like, a mental health kind of thing. Like, I do get anxiety and stuff, and one thing that really helps me with that, it's not really bad at the moment, but one thing that does really, really help me, like, keep it under control is going to the gym. And my gym used to be 5 minutes away from home, and it went from being 5 minutes away from home to being 20 minutes away from home. So I wasn't going to the gym, and then that was kind of like having an effect on my mental health a little bit. And it was like, I didn't want to go to the gym anywhere else, because I don't necessarily like exercising, but I really like the gym that I go to, so I wouldn't exercise at any other gym but that gym. Like, it's just, the people there are really nice, and it's like a real, like, a community there. So yeah, the location sucked, and we also really hated living in an apartment. Like, the people were annoying. That sounds really bad, but, like, the people were annoying. The next door neighbors would fight all the time. And you could just hear them always fighting, and, like, that was always really annoying. And just, we didn't like living in an apartment. It's very different to living in a house. If you've ever lived in an apartment, I think you would either love it or hate it, but we actually just hated the apartment. It wasn't big enough. You know, we wanted a garden, yada, yada, yada. So as you can kind of get, we just hated living there. And we didn't really know, like, what to do. And we're kind of talking to, like, my family about it. And we're like, yeah, we really, really hate the apartment. We don't really know what to do. And my mum was like, well, you know, obviously it's up to you, but have you guys considered moving back home for a little bit, and you could maybe save up for a house? Because basically, financially speaking, we either had to stay there for 5 years to pay off enough of the mortgage to make it worthwhile, like, so that we could then move from an apartment to a home, or we could just sell the apartment and then live at home for a bit and save. And it worked out that we'd be able to move into a house quicker if we just moved back home for a little bit. And the only issue with moving back home was my old bedroom. Mum and Dad did it up. Now, my parents would let us move back in, no problem, but I wouldn't have let that happen, because basically they turned it into like a gym study area. My parents both have their own little, like, study areas. So Mum has, like, this random room with, like, some antique chairs and a bookshelf, and then my dad has, like, his computer and stuff in his own study. So he moved into my bedroom, and they bought, like, new furniture, they bought gym equipment, and it's like a real man cave for my dad. So my dad was kind of like, you know, obviously if you guys do want to move back and everything, you can. I'm just gonna have to move all my man cave stuff. And I was like, nah, that's not going to happen. And my husband wouldn't let that happen either. Like, I just think that that's really unfair to my parents to be like, oh, hey, we're moving back in, and please, like, you know, all the thousands of dollars that you spent doing up this bedroom, just get rid of it all, find a new place for all the stuff that you bought. Like, no, that wasn't going to happen. And then my grandma, she was like, oh, I have a spare bedroom that I was about to do up. Why don't you guys take that room? And we're like, oh, really? And she was saying that she had I think she had a double bed, and then she had, like, an empty chest of drawers and, like, one other piece of furniture. And she's like, yep, I was going to throw out the bed and I was, like, going to throw out or sell all the furniture in that room anyway. So you could just, if you just, you know, help me sell the furniture, then there's an empty bedroom for you guys. And we're like, yeah, okay. So that is how we started living with my grandma. So yeah, it's really nothing juicy. It's not like, you know, my mum kicked me out or something crazy like that. It was just that I didn't want to, well, my husband and I, neither of us, we didn't want to, like, move in with my parents again, considering they'd already, like, refurnished the bedroom that we used to live in, and it just would have been really unfair. So yeah, but we love living with my grandma. It's, like, really, really good, because my grandma's the kind of person who, like, she likes to do the cooking, and if you are in her kitchen, she hovers. So she does all the cooking, which is good because I'm not a very good cook. Like sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. Most of the time it's a fail, but sometimes I can cook good food. But yeah, for the most part, I'm not a good cook. And my grandma is a really, really good cook, but she hates cleaning up after dinner. So she cooks for my husband and I every night. Like whatever we want to eat, she'll cook it for us, which is amazing. And then my husband cleans up after dinner. So, we both do. He does it more than me because I really don't like cleaning up after dinner either. Yeah, so it works out really well because I hate cleaning up after dinner, so my husband does that. My husband hates cleaning the bathrooms, like he just hates it. So I clean the bathrooms and my grandma does all the cooking. So it's like we all get to do the thing that we enjoy doing, but at the same time we all get to avoid the thing that we don't like doing. So yeah, like it works out really, really well. And then I still call my mum every day, and then like if I am I'm never home alone during the day anymore because like my grandma's there, but like it's good I get to go like walking with my mum again, which I really, really missed. And yeah, like it's really, really good. I don't know, we really like living with my grandma, and she's not like naggy or anything. Like I know that kind of sounds bad, but she's just really chill and relaxed, and we basically like just kind of do whatever we want. Like we don't have to be like, oh, do you mind if we do this, or do you mind if we do that? Like we just kind of, you know, we can live our lives normally. It's not like when you live at home and you have to be like, oh mum, I'm going out, you know, and then your mum's like, oh yeah, you've got to be back at this time. Like it's not like that. We obviously let her know where we're going, but we're like, oh yeah, you know, I don't know, like a few nights ago I was like, yeah, I'm going to sleep at my husband's cousin. My husband's cousin was my bridesmaid, so we're very good friends, and I went and slept at her house, and I'm like, yep, I'm just going to sleep at Meg's house, and she's like, yeah, alright, see you in the morning. Yeah, so she's, yeah, I don't know, and I think my husband really likes it because my grandma loves watching the AFL, which is the Australian football, and he does as well, so they'll sit there and they'll watch the football together, and like we get along like really, really well, and it's not hard work to get along, if that makes sense. Like it's not like we don't have to work to, yeah, like get along or live together in harmony. We just have like a really good thing going, and it works, which is good. And then I actually have a bit of a funny story. So as I said, my grandma watches the AFL, which is the Australian football. So like I guess the Australian version of like gridiron, or it's football like with the like the oval shaped ball. Anyway, so my grandma is obsessed with a team called the Bulldogs. So it's the Melbourne Bulldogs. That's the name of the team, and she is obsessed. She has been a member for like 14 years. Like I think she could even be a foundation member. I'm not sure, but she reckons that she has like loved them since, I don't know. Actually, no, I don't think she's a foundation member, but I think she's just been a member for like a really, really long time, like a member of the club. And the Bulldogs aren't the best team. Like they usually lose, and we always bag her out. We're always like, oh Margot, like how are the dogs going? Because she calls them the doggies, and we're like, oh, did the doggies lose again as usual? And it's just like a running joke that she barracks for like a really bad team. Anyway, a couple years ago, they actually ended up winning the grand final, and it was like, they came out of nowhere. They went from like coming last all the time to winning a grand final. And my grandma was in South Africa when the grand final happened, and like my grandma has been waiting forever, like 14 years plus, for them to win a grand final, that so she could go down to Melbourne and watch them play in the grand final. And then when it finally happened, she was in South Africa and she was devastated. She was like at one point considering not going on her trip anymore. She said that had she not booked the trip, she wouldn't have gone. Like had she known that she could choose between South Africa, like a holiday to South Africa, or watching the Bulldogs in the grand final, she would have picked the Bulldogs. So that's like how crazy of a fan she is. And she ended up watching, like streaming the grand final from South Africa, and I'm pretty sure she had to pay something ridiculous, like $20 or $30 just to stream it, because it was in South Africa. Like she couldn't get it any other way. So anyway, she still does it. This is like 2000, let's say 2000 and, oh no, this is 2017, so she's done this all year. I'll come downstairs sometimes and I can hear her getting like really into something. She's like, oh yes, go, yes, and like that. And I'll be like, oh, what are you watching? And she's like, oh, I'm just watching the Bulldogs grand final. I'm like, you mean the one from like 12 months ago? Yes, I could have missed something last time. Shh, go away. And like tells me to be quiet. And I'm like, but you already saw the Bulldogs grand final. Why are you watching it again? Oh, it's still exciting. And I'm not even kidding. She has watched this grand final at least 10 times. So many times I've come down and she's like watching the grand final and she gets really into it. Like she will tell me to be quiet and tell me to go away if I interrupt her. She's like, shh, just leave me be. I'm watching my grand final. So yeah, I don't know. I just think that's like so funny. So yeah, the football and this TV show called The Chase, they're like the only two things on TV that she watches, and you can't interrupt her during it. Like you can't even talk to her. She's like the loveliest lady, but if you interrupt her during her two shows that she likes to watch, she gets so cranky. And like her getting cranky is not really getting cranky. But yeah, she loves this show called The Chase. I think it's called The Chase or The Chaser. I think there's like a UK version and an Australian version, but it's just like one of those like shows where you can win heaps of money and you have to be like really smart. That's basically what the show is. So anyway, she was actually watching that today, and we have in our townhouse complex this little girl who likes to come over and visit sometimes, and she likes to just, I don't know, come over for a talk and like to see our dog. And I've actually spoken about her before in like a previous speed build. And I mentioned before, like she always comes at like the worst times. Like she seems to just, like we're right in the middle of eating dinner and she will knock on the door. And we know it's her because she always rings the doorbell twice. Like she's very persistent. And today, my grandma was watching The Chase and I heard the doorbell ring a couple times, but I was upstairs. So I just ignored it because I thought, oh, she'll get it. And anyway, like it is my grandma's house and no one ever comes to see us. So anyway, yeah, we're like down watching The Chase and, oh no, I wasn't watching The Chase. My grandma was down watching The Chase when the doorbell rang. And about half an hour later, I went downstairs and I was like, oh, who knocked at the door before? She's like, I don't know, but I was watching The Chase, so I didn't want to answer it. And she like legit, like whoever was at the door, she like ignored them because she was watching her show. And as I said, she's not like this. She is the most outgoing, social, lovely person ever. But she like ignored the doorbell because The Chaser was on. And like we knew that it was the girl that lives down the road just because she rang the doorbell twice and she was like, she'll come back later, it's okay, I don't feel bad about it. And we're like, oh, it was just really funny and really cute. I don't know. My grandma is like such a good lady. She's done my voiceover as well. She did that back in November, so you know, you should check that out because it was absolutely adorable. She's like the cutest person ever. So yeah guys, I'm gonna have to go because my throat is so sore. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but my throat is really sore. It feels like swollen. I've done like heaps of talking and heaps of voiceovers and now like my throat has gone all like, I don't know, like swollen, like I kind of can't breathe properly. Like I'm fine. It's not as bad as I've just made it out. It's just, I don't know. My throat feels really weird. So I'm gonna go. I am at the moment probably off, you know, hopefully enjoying my holiday. So I hope that you're off doing something exciting or enjoying whatever you guys are doing. Thank you so much for watching and I hope to catch you all in another one of my videos. Goodbye guys. Thanks again for watching.